Now question. What is the meaning of circumcision of women? Yes. So how exactly it happens? Actually, because before I didn't actually look into it, so I used to think that it is like separating the lips of the vagina, the external ones, the big ones. Okay. So it was my wrong understanding. Yeah. But anyway, according to the four madhahib, it is separating the the minor lips, which covers the exact vagina. What do they call that part?
I think it'll be labia minora, like same in English or Latin, smaller, lesser lips.
Yeah. Which is connected between the clitoris on top and the place of urinating, isn't it? But it is in between. Okay, so it's not the top one, the major one, and it is not the clitoris, and it is not the place of urinating, but it is the lips which is in between, okay, which is covering the vagina.
Cutting them off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Separating them. Anyway, well, if you remember, we did mention the hadith, the weak hadith, which is narrated by Abu Dawud, in which some Ansariya lady used to do it, okay, for the ladies in the time of Jahiliyyah, and then she came to Rasulullah ﷺ asking about it, okay. So then Rasulullah ﷺ didn't stop her, but then he said, إذا خفضت فأشمي ولا تنهكي فإنه أسرى للوجه وأحظى عند الزوج. In one narration, and in different narration, لا تنهكي فإن ذلك أحظى للمرأة وأحب إلى البعل. Okay, so the first narration means, so Rasulullah didn't stop that lady, but he said, but if you want to do it, so then ashimmi means make it very shallow, ولا تنهكي, and do not go very deep into it. Do not go very deep into it. But then he says, فإنه أسرى للوجه وأحظى عند الزوج. So he says, because it will lighten up, brighten up the face, and it is more, you can say, it will give more, you can say, portion to the husband. That's one narration. And in the next narration, Rasulullah says, do not do it very deep, because that is أحظى للمرأة, because it gives more portion to the lady, وأحب إلى البعل, and also that will be more liked by the husband. Okay, and also then the scholars afterward, actually they did give interpretation what Rasulullah exactly meant by it is more, أحظى means more enjoyable, more portion of enjoyment for the lady, and أحب إلى البعل, it is more liked by the husband. Okay, so then they did explain that because do you know when that lips will be there, okay, so then when sexual intercourse will start taking place, so it will be covering the clitoris, because normally when penis goes in and out, so that will rub the clitoris, which causes orgasm. Am I right? But if there will be something from the lady covering that clitoris, so maybe orgasm will get delayed. So then husband will drop a semen and then he will finish, but she will not be yet done. Okay, so then by removing it, it causes better enjoyment in terms of lady will not get delayed also, because majority of the men, they have a problem of reaching orgasm quicker than women. But if we help out the lady by taking that away, so it will speed up the orgasm of the lady also, if you understand. So then that's what scholars said by أحظى للمرأة means more portion of enjoyment for the lady. And then أحب إلى البعل means more liked by the husband. Because if both of them are reaching orgasm in the same time, or lady is not getting delayed, means, because normally what happens, husband after finishing, just in order to make the lady to finish also, he will get tired afterward, because he will not feel nothing after reaching orgasm, especially if the person is, for example, normally reaches orgasm only once or twice during the sexual act, but then lady is not yet there. So after that, husband doesn't feel the enjoyment, isn't it? But he does it just to help the lady. But what about if he finished, but by the time he finished, lady also finished, so now he doesn't have to work nothing afterward. So that's the meaning of ahabbu ila. It is like more liked by the husband.
Right. So just, I mean, that's very clear. But regardless of whether, say, people from the West or people would disagree, but the justification given for it is to increase the pleasure of the woman. Now, I'm sure people would disagree.
Actually, we're not yet finished.
Oh, okay, there's more.
That opinion is still there.
Right.
Your opinion is still there. So anyway, the quotations from four madhahib. So according to four madhahib, it is ijma of four madhahib that only that lips, the minor lips, will be removed without touching the clitoris and without touching the place of urinating. So it is in Bahr al-Ra'iq. So he says وختان المرأة موضع قطع جلدة منها كعرف الديك فوق الفرج. So he says it is the khitan of the lady, circumcision of the lady, it is to remove the skin which looks like عرف الديك is, do you know the rooster has that thing?
Yeah.
What do they call it?
I don't remember as well,
yes,
but
red thing.
Yeah.
So he says it is the skin which is on top of the vagina, do you know, on top of the exit, which is like a lips. Okay. Then he says, and then he explains where exactly is that skin. So he explains, and afterwards he says, وبينهما جلدة رقيقة يقطع منه. So he says وبينهما جلدة رقيقة. So he says between the clitoris and between the place of the urine, so there is very slim skin. So he says that is exactly the thing which will be taken separated in the circumcision. So that is in the Hanafi fiqh as well as in the Majmu'. Imam Nawawi did repeat the same thing. So he said that slim skin, which looks like you know, that thing of the rooster, and the same thing in the so he's the same thing in the Hanbali madhab also. So there are two quotations. One is from Sheikh Mansur bin Yunus al-Buhayti, which is also one of the scholars of the Hanbali madhab. So he did repeat exactly the same thing. Okay, but then Ibn al-Jawzi actually went one step further. Okay, if you remember, there is a hadith in which hadith is in Bukhari and Muslim, in which when Rasulullah and then that representative of Qurayshis came in Hudaybiyah, Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, do you remember? So he said, oh Muhammad, you shouldn't trust your people, because as soon as they will see us, they will just run away and then they will disown you, so then we will kill you, etc. So Abu Bakr was sitting there. Okay, so then Abu Bakr said some word, which so he said masasta bidr al-lad. Okay, so bidr is clitoris. Okay,
it was an insult type thing.
Because he did say very bad word, you know, about Sahaba and about Rasulullah. So bidr is clitoris. So then Ibn al-Jawzi, Hanbali, Ibn al-Jawzi is famous. So then Ibn al-Jawzi, in his commentary on the ahadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, problematic ahadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, so he has written a book to clarify the ahadith which is problematic in Bukhari and Muslim. So it is in there, this hadith is in them. So in there he very clearly did say that al-bidhr or al-badhar, bidhr or badhar. What is the clitoris? So he says ma tubqihi al-khafidatu 'inda al-qata. So he says clitoris is something that a lady who makes circumcision leaves during the circumcision. So it is quite obvious. For madhahib, we did agree that clitoris will not be touched.
Sheikh, is this Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi?
No, Ibn al-Jawzi.
The other the guy who wrote, I know we have, so not the student of Ibn Taymiyyah.
No, this is student of Abdul Qadir Jilani.
Ah, sure, yeah.
Okay, so the other one. Okay, and again Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi again. Okay, so the second, the first type of the Hanbali scholars. So he says وختان المرأة جلدة كعرف الديك في أعلى الفرج يقطع منها من الختان. So he says, he repeats the same thing. Okay, so the khitan is to remove that slim skin, okay, on top of the vagina, just on top of the vagina. Okay, so it is agreed upon. So now And then question, so then where did we get the opinion in which we have to separate the clitoris? So it is for madhab agreed that nothing will be touched. Okay, so anyway, actually it is coming from Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, but I did not find the source. Okay, I read in one of the books in which the author, one of the Saudi authors, so he did attribute it to Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, but afterwards he said also, I didn't find the exact text where Ibn Taymiyyah says that you have to take off the clitoris, okay? But then he says, but I found many other texts in which he explains that the reason of the circumcision to balance the desire of the women, just to make sure that she doesn't get very like enjoying by the sexual act. So because if sexual lady will be enjoying the sexual activity, so it means she will love it. So let's balance that desire to make it lower. So that was the explanation why circumcision is in Islam, according to Ibn Taymiyyah. So it is Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. So, and then again, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, he went, do you know his book of Tuhfatul al-Mawdud, do you know, about the newborn baby and the sunnahs of new. So in that book, he did follow his sheikh, and then he said, circumcision for the ladies is to balance the desire. So I say both of them are going exactly opposite side of the hadith. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Because that hadith says Azhar lil mar'a, means more portion of enjoyment. But they say the reason of the circumcision is less portion of the desire. If you understand what I mean. Yeah, so then, what I mean, so then, because the author of that book who was writing about where this opinion, he says that because how you can decrease the enjoyment of the lady during the sexual act, so that is by separating the clitoris, am I right? So then he says, so maybe this is the reason why they attribute to Ibn Taymiyyah that circumcision should be by separating the clitoris. Okay, so that is Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah, and then the contemporary scholars, for example, Sheikh Albani, as well as Huwaini, you know Huwaini, Egyptian, he is still alive. So they said that circumcision is by taking off some part of clitoris.
And forgive me, Sheikh, what's the background of Huwaini? Is he Al-Azhar? Is he Salafi?
No, he is Egyptian scholar, and also he spent something about 2-3 hours with Albani, and now he calls himself a student of Albani.
Okay.
Because they have strange type of procedure in Salafi aqeeda, especially with Sheikh Albani. Spending some short period with Albani is it will equal spending years with others. So that's why if you spend maybe half an hour with Albani, you would be a student of Albani and great scholar. So it's a strange thing. So Huwaini is like that. So yeah, and now he is the main representative of the, you can say, Sheikh Nasruddin al-Albani. Anyway, so it is them too. They say that circumcision is by taking off some part, not all of it, because according to them, Rasulullah said, do it shallow. Means Rasulullah referring to exact clitoris. Okay?
Yeah, because this is what we've read from the Islamophobes. Okay. This opinion, because yes, we were very surprised when you mentioned the labia over lips, because what the Islamophobes say is like, you're saying to cut the clitoris, but not shallow, but shallow, sorry, and so they say maybe the hood of the clitoris, but so it's different.
So it is actually, the opinion is coming from Sheikh Albani and Huwaini, but then Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim, so that author of the book says, I didn't find the clear quotation from them too, in which they say clitoris should be removed. But then what they said will mean that also. Yeah. Because decreasing, how you can decrease the enjoyment without separating that. You know?
So, Sheikh, forgive me for interrupting again, but they must have some. Is there some reason they can trace for this? Because usually if you say to Salafi brothers, Ibn Taymiyyah had this strange opinion, say satanic verses, they'll go and find some other person who had that and say, no, not just Ibn Taymiyyah, there's this other guy.
Okay.
So can they, from your knowledge, is there anyone else who gave this justification to reduce it?
We need to dig into it more, but you know, normally when there will be ijma of four madhahib, especially Imam Ahmad, you know, Imam Ahmad, if there will be many narrations, he will make many fatwas. Do you understand? So the ijma of four madhahib on this issue indicates that there shouldn't be some reasonable narrations, you know, from the Tabi'in. Unless if there is, so it could be very weak. You know, for example, temporary marriage. Temporary marriage is not valid. Okay, so it is like a major Sahaba, and the major narrations are is confirming that, except there is very weak or shadh narration from Ibn Abbas. Okay, because Ibn Abbas also, there are 3 different narrations from Ibn Abbas, and only in one of them he says it's still valid. Okay, so even if there is some narration, I don't believe that that's very reasonable, strong. Or otherwise, Imam Ahmad would make fatwa according to that one also, you know.
But for the purpose of the people doing dawah in the West, you're confident to say that there is ijma of the 4 schools?
Yeah, of course, I did give you the quotation from all of the four madhahib.
So even if people were to counter and say Ibn Taymiyyah said, or Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi, but still, the ijma is there definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and also Ibn Taymiyyah, we know him, even Sheikh Hajar al-Asqalani, he said that Ibn Taymiyyah left ijma for over 20 times. Okay, so that's why if you go to Salafi brothers, because their leader neglected ijma, so they will say, what is ijma? And then they will bring that statement of Imam Ahmad in which he says, never claim ijma because you never know what, because scholars were everywhere, you never know what they have said. You know?
I've heard them say this actually.
Exactly, no, because just to justify for their sheikh, you know. Yes, it's a bit strange. So just to reply to them, we say the teacher of your person from whom you are quoting, Imam Ahmad, so his teacher said, Ijma is in Quran, in which Allah says, وَيَتَّبِعَ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّوْا نُصْلِهِ جَهَنَّمَ. Those people who do not go the way to which Muslimun, the believers, go, so we turn him towards whatever he will turn himself, and then we'll throw him into the hell. Okay, so Imam Shafi said it is the proof of Ijma. As well as Imam Ahmad claiming ijma in many other occasions, and only one small narration, him doing it, we don't know why did he say that, and you know, so just by one narration they neglect the other hundreds of other narrations in which Imam Ahmad by himself he uses ijma as a proof. Okay, so it's a bit strange. So anyway, so the just summarized of what we said. So for madhahib they say that clitoris will be untouched. Okay, so then Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Qayyim, again they do not clearly say that it will be separated, but they said the reason of circumcision of women is to decrease the orgasm or desire of the. So then how you can decrease it? So indirectly it means that separating the, but they didn't say that. But then Sheikh Albani and Huwaini, okay, and then Muhammad Hassan, them 3 Salafi scholars, they did say that some of it, but not all of it. But some of it has to be separated. So that's actually the thing. As well as Albani made another mistake in the same matter. So he says that circumcision is not sunnah, is not sunnah or is not wajib upon each single lady, but only specific type of ladies. So the people who said it's sunnah, they said upon everyone. And those who said it's not sunnah, we, for example, Hanafis, who say not for any lady. And even Imam Shafi who said wajib, so he said upon each single lady. So it is ijma again, ijma you can say murakkab, in which we disagreed in terms of being sunnah, non-sunnah or wajib, but we agreed that it is upon each single lady. So if it is wajib for everyone, sunnah for everyone, non-sunnah for anyone. So it is another break of ijma actually.
So Sheikh, I have to ask you, then what kind of ladies, I mean I can guess the answer, but what kind of ladies is he saying it is?
So he says, Sheikh Albani says, it is ladies from hot countries, because their clitoris is very grows very fast and very but then the ladies from cold countries, they don't need it, because their clitoris, I don't know how, I mean, we need some scientific proof for this one. Sheikh Albani, it wasn't his field too. So he said that the sexual desire of Western ladies is quite balanced, so they don't need it. So only the ladies from the hot countries, it's only them who need it. But it's khilaf al-ijma' again, because no one says that some, it is sunnah or wajib or non-wajib for some, but for others, it's another khilaf of ijma'.
And a very strange reason, I think our viewers will agree, just very, there's no evidence for this.
Exactly.
I think, or especially evidence that Sheikh Albani would have access to.
It's not his field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe he did ask some of the scientists. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So it's a bit strange thing. Yeah.
So Sheikh, just to clarify again.
Yeah.
The definition Islamically
Yeah.
of so even I'm sure there will be some people in the West, and certainly I'm sure people who have a point to prove, who will be hostile to this, but the purpose which is stated by the classical scholars for the reason for doing the female circumcision is to increase the pleasure.
Yes, so to quick up the orgasm, so it will be easier for the husband to please her. So after him finishing, he will not need to carry on working, because it will be difficult. So it will maybe just you can say make the husband to forget about the enjoyment. Yes, so because hadith says فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ أَحْظَى لِلْمَرْءِ, because that gives better enjoyment for the lady, وَأَحَبُّ إِلَى الْبَعْلِ, and it is more liked by the husband, because after the orgasm of the lady, I mean of himself, he doesn't need to work for long.
So although that's a weak narration, it's explicit that it's for enjoyment of lady. And
it is
so there's no way to misunderstand it to say we should cut off a clitoris to reduce enjoyment.
So there are two weak narrations. In one, Rasulullah says the reason for the circumcision, that for the lady it will brighten her face. And in the second, it will increase, it will ahza, means it will give bigger portion, bigger share for the lady to enjoy.
And Sheikh, what would brightening her face mean? Could they have understood that as somehow meaning we should cut the clitoris?
No, actually, I remember I was reading, for example, in Russia they do have some joke. Okay, so ladies, if they say in the morning, okay, to each other, oh, today you look very bright, and then they laugh afterward. Means last night there was something actually. So can you imagine, you will have a sexual act with your wife, you will enjoy, but she doesn't reach the orgasm, so it causes sadness, stress, depression, and the people with stress and depression, there will be darkness in the face, if you understand what I mean. Especially if it will go further, so there will be darkness underneath of their eyes. Do you understand? So Rasulullah is saying that it will make it like brighter, like in terms of like more happier. So maybe that could be the meaning. But the second is quite obvious. Ahza means bigger portion, bigger share of the enjoyment, of the physical enjoyment, lil mar'a, for the lady.
So firstly, the classical definition of Islam, of the scholars regarding female circumcision is actually exactly opposite of what Islamophobes say.
Exactly,
so it's reducing not clitoris, but what is say the labia getting in the way of the clitoris, so as to they want to increase pleasure. But sadly, it seems that certain scholars, Ibn Taymiyyah onwards, they do have the same definition that the Islamophobes give. Okay,
so maybe, I mean, Islamophobes, the problem should be with Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, and then Albani and Salafis. But for Madhahib, just it's not about us, because we say exactly opposite way.
I'm sure there'll be more questions, and maybe you have to do another part. So,
but just to clarify, I know that it is the ijma of 4 madhahib, but I found the quotation from 3 madhahib. So it is from Majmu' of Shafi'is and Bahraq of Hanafis, as well as from Ibn al-Jawzi, who is Hanbali, as well as Buhaiti, also Hanbali. But in terms of Malikis, I know that even they say the same thing about, you know, that slim skin. But I didn't have a chance to find that quotation from their books. But I'm quite confident it is for madhab.
And in terms of that layer of skin, you did mention in your previous talk, which was in a lot of detail as well, that there's a hadith where do not deepen it. So even that skin, you can't remove it completely.
Exactly. Yes, so it should be really shallow, you can say, circumcision. Okay, that's all.